Morning. We're going to be talking about arson this morning and the attempted murder of Bethany McGee. I say attempted because I believe, as of the latest reporting, she's still in critical condition. And before I reveal my own face, I want you guys to take a moment. Look at this dude's face. Look at this dude's face. Okay, keep that in mind. That, whew, what does it say in the lower right corner there? Because that's going to come up. 72 prior convictions. Guys, this is not good. I've got Mario here with us this morning. He's got the story for the most part. You want me to put the article up with you, Mario, or you want to just run with it for a minute?
Yeah, well, we're talking about, yeah, we are talking about and like you said, yeah, she is still fighting for her life. Okay, she's still in critical condition. Beth McGee, all right. But in essence, it's still a murder. Okay, you have a beautiful young woman, all right, who's going to be disfigured for life if she does survive. Okay, she'll never be beautiful again. She was effectively murdered. Okay, she's walking wounded. Okay, and the quality of her life will be forever severely damaged. All right. So yeah, you ever seen? I mean, look, we're veterans. Okay, we've seen
Yeah.
burn victims. Okay, in the army, it's one of the ugliest wounds you can get. All right, follows you for life, makes you look like a monster. Unfortunately, no one wants to say it, but I mean, you fucking come out of that looking like Phantom of the Opera. Okay, it's not. People aren't going to know your backstory when they see you. Okay, the initial reaction is fear or disgust. Okay, because of the ugliness of those injuries. So no, that's she was murdered. Her life was murdered. Okay, regardless of whether or not she survives.
Well, one of the arguments that I've often made, and I know you've heard me make it, Mario, is every crime is murder to a degree. Right? Take theft, burglary, trespassing, rape, arson. Every crime that can be committed is murder in one degree or another. And if you cannot make the argument that a crime is murder, is a degree of murder, then the argument you're making is that the thing you're calling a crime is not in fact a crime. One of the very first rules of law that one learns when attending a law school is that crime is harm. In order to show that there was a crime, you have to show a victim, you have to show the harm, right? Even if you can't identify the perpetrator, the assailant, etc., which in this case we can apparently. Even if you can't identify the perpetrator, if you can identify a victim and an actual harm, and by harm we mean that the victim is less whole than they were to begin with. Their property was damaged, their body was damaged, their wealth was retarded, their liberty was restricted, or they ceased to be alive. And the only way we talked a lot about justice when we were talking about the mutation of language and culture on Saturday's Deep Dive. And the lefties like to use this term restorative justice. When you hear people use language like that, restorative justice, okay, you guys know what an oxymoron is, right? A jumbo shrimp, military intelligence, things like that, right? Something like restorative justice. The word restorative, to restore, is part of the concept of justice. So in that case, it's almost the opposite of an oxymoron. You are attempting to add to a thing which already possesses a certain quality, the idea that it needs to possess that quality, thereby implying that justice as a concept does not include the quality of restoration. But what do we do in courts when we attempt to serve justice for victims? In reality, we attempt to restore them. In fact, the legal term of art is to make them whole, right? So let's say there's not a crime and you still suffered harm, damage, right? For example, a car accident, which was actually literally an accident. Somebody has to be, the way the law works, somebody has to be clearly at fault. Somebody has to be essentially charged with some mechanism of negligence. Okay, there we take away the intent. We say that the person wasn't trying to do evil, but in this equation, at least one person, through no fault of their own, has lost something. And what the justice solution for that is to make them whole, to restore what was lost. In fact, this is precisely the reason that we have and should be able to have, and notice I use that language carefully. I don't say should have, I say should be able to have capital punishment, because there are some crimes, like when you take away the youth and beauty and health and vigor of an innocent young woman out of an act of pure, unadulterated, race communism moded malice. She cannot be restored. And so his debt is total. If the debt that he owes is a life, then that is what he must pay with.
And I argue that is what he that is the correct result here. Would be a death sentence for this man. Just because, I mean, we're talking 72 convictions. Okay, I mean, it's ridiculous. And he was back in court. And damn it! All right, people in the chat.
And to be clear, his 72 convictions include several arsons as well. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes, one of them is in particular arson. That one actually got him in jail for at least a minute or two in Chicago. People in the chat are commenting on my appearance. It's the hippie hair. I look like a roadie from a 70s band. I give up hair. You know what? One of my daughters said it best. I look like Fat Jesus. Okay, I like that. All right. So this man, he was back in court. Okay, this individual. What's his name? Shit, I should probably know that.
Reed something.
Reed. Whatever.
I just had it. Reed approached. His last name is Reed.
All right. So Mr. Reed, all right, was back in court for his latest incident. He was being held in a psychiatric ward. All right. He is
Lawrence Reed.
Lawrence Reed. All right. So Lawrence Reed was being held in a psychiatric ward when he brutally slapped. I mean, he slapped a woman who was a nurse basically. He slapped her so hard that she had a concussion, damaged optical nerve. Okay, so we're talking like full on, like hit her full force. Okay, in the face, damaged her hearing, damaged her vision. All right, and left her with like severe concussion. Okay, so gets put in court for that, and the judge, and it's a Mexican American judge or female judge, whatever. Okay, decides that he is. He was too dangerous for a psych ward. Okay, and for that reason he can't be held in some sort of mental care facility. So the correct response would be to let him back on the street with ankle monitoring. Okay, she basically under supervised watch. He's supposed to be under the highest degree of alert. Okay, meaning that the police would have to check in on him all the time. And a brief aside, how does that make sense? Okay, the man should be in jail. Obviously, he is a violent, deranged criminal. Okay, an irredeemable, unreformable criminal at this point. The safest place to put him would be in basically the worst prison in Chicago. Okay, just put him in the dungeon, throw him there, throw away the keys. All right. Instead, because he's too dangerous to be held in a proper care facility, he gets put back out on the street, and we're going to increase work for the police in monitoring this individual, who is basically just a time bomb waiting to strike again. Okay, virtually guaranteed at this point with 72 prior convictions. So the judge even let him wander the streets for 5 hours a day. Okay, as part of his probation. And while he was out is when he committed a brutal act of arson that is reminiscent of Irina. I forgot her last name, unfortunately, but the Ukrainian girl who was brutally murdered in Charlotte, North Carolina, just a couple months ago.
It was Irina. I keep wanting to say Irina Zaluska, but it's not because
it begins with Z. But yeah,
Zarutska.
So, Mr. Reed, exact same scenario. Okay, a young white woman sitting on public transportation. She has her back to this violent career criminal, Mr. Reed, who proceeds to get up and pour gasoline that he put into like Gatorade bottles at a gas station just a couple hours prior. Right, douses her in gasoline. She gets up and tries to like run away, and he manages to light her on fire. Um, falls at fell out of the bus, okay, and a couple of good Samaritans were able to basically douse the flames by smothering her with blankets, jackets, etc., whatever they had to put the fire out, and she has been held in critical condition ever since. The story actually happened earlier this month. Okay, this is not this past week, 2 weeks ago. Okay, and it's just now gaining national attention due to the severity of the crime and the fact that it is very reminiscent of the national outrage over Arena's death. Okay, all right. The rather than detaining the man, this is
Yeah,
for
and
the.
well, and
Mhm.
the attack itself. I mean, we don't have video of it, but here's a still
Yeah.
from the video,
Mhm.
from the security video. I mean, he literally shoved this girl down in this chair and doused her with gasoline on a public transit.
Yeah. And yeah, he's being charged with terrorism for this, which is, I mean, rightly so. So, man, court records show he had 53 criminal cases filed against him in Cook County since 1993. So that's just in Chicago, including 9 felonies, mostly narcotics related. All felonies ended with guilty pleas, but only 2 resulted in jail sentences. 2 years for his fourth drug case in 2003, and 30 days for repeat driving on a suspended license in 2017. All right. Um, let's see, he goes into here about the severe injury he gave the nurse in the psychiatric hospital. Let's see here, but yeah, I mean, too dangerous for a psych ward, but okay to walk the streets. Okay, judge's rationale I can't understand. I think before the show, Chris, you were talking about how we're under siege right now by activist
Correct.
judges. Okay, whether it be in the criminal justice system, decisions that have no concern for public safety. Okay, and the only concern being their liberal shibboleths. Okay, in regards to race and criminal justice. Okay, and how we deal with these individuals. And we're also under siege
Um,
by activist political judges in their constant attempts to hamper the ability for the executive branch to enact executive functions.
you you said shibboleths, and that's a word that not everybody's entirely familiar with. It's a linguist's term of art, and it means a particular utterance. If you've heard a middle school child shouting 6 7 over and over again, for example, uh, anything of the sort, a shibboleth is a an utterance that signifies your membership in an in group, right? So, to throw up your fist and shout Black Lives Matter, for example, is a signifier to the people who recognize that.
Right.
So when Mario mentions the liberal shibboleths, those include phrases like, white. If you talk about white supremacy in, in a if you talk about white supremacy as if it's a legitimate concern in the United States or anywhere in the world today, then you're signaling to people that you're virtue signaling, and you're signaling you're belonging into an organization. Uh, I wanted to clarify that, because that is an important word that you guys should know, and more importantly, what the the phenomenon, the social activity that the word refers to, is one that's important to understand.
Yeah.
We've talked about virtue signaling, uh, shisty grifters many times in the past. Shibboleths is their term. Well, it is a term of art from linguistic philosophy to understand the use of the language for that purpose of virtue signaling. But understand, virtue signaling isn't just a mechanism of belonging. Um, it's part of the whole, Maoist mechanism of public shaming and humiliation rituals. You're you're identifying yourself. You're painting. It's painting the blood over the door at Passover in a way. You're saying I'm one of the good ones. I know the shibboleths. I'm one of the good ones.
Yeah. Malabank says 3 strikes. Yeah, we used to have the 3 strikes law in this country. Well, not
No, that was racist.
It was a state by state basis. Okay, California enacted a 3 strike law in the 90s. Okay, but it was later declared like cruel and unusual and racist. Okay, and all the everything else, because the argument would be how could we sentence someone to life in prison for committing like shoplifting. Okay, that was the theory behind it. Like, okay, if someone gets involved in like a violent altercation. Okay, it's felony assault, and then they whatever, they try to turn their lives around, and then later on down the road they get a couple shoplifting charges, and now they're in prison for life. Okay, how is that fair? That was the bleeding heart, the bleeding heart argument against 3 strikes. Much like the arguments against stop and frisk, which, I mean, I don't know, is that a violation of Fourth Amendment? Probably, but how else are you supposed to police dangerous urban environments? You know what I mean? You have to take proactive measures, regardless.
Well,
So the judge
and Mario, I would argue stop and frisk is a regional activity. I would argue that if stop and frisk is unconstitutional, if it's a violation of the Fourth Amendment, given that the zone where the stop and frisk activity occurs is a defined and specific activity, if it is unconstitutional, then it is also unconstitutional for there to be magnetometers at courthouses.
Yeah, I like that. Mm-hmm.
And right, and understand that argument that I'm putting forward doesn't say that either of those things is right or wrong, but they are both the same thing.
To maintain consistency, then yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, if we can't have stop and frisk in busy cities, then we can't have magnetometers in courthouses.
So, regarding Mr. Reed and his latest incident at the psychiatric hospital, prosecutors really they really pushed back against the judge and argued that there's no way you cannot let this man on the street. You cannot give him supervised release. Okay, no matter how severe no matter how restrictive the ankle monitoring electronic surveillance on him is. Okay, just because of the severe threat. And Judge Teresa Molina-Gonzalez said to them, quote, "I can't keep everyone in jail because that's what the state attorney wants me to do." Okay, so intellectually lazy argument, of course. Can't keep everyone in jail because the state attorney wants me to. Well, there are some individuals that you can certainly keep in jail, woman, and Reed is definitely one of them. Someone who has are we incapable?
Well, I mean,
is pattern recognition racist, guys? Is pattern recognition racist? Okay.
Yes. Man, this is the judge.
Yeah.
Welcome to pattern recognition.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a pattern you can recognize here.
Right. She's basically an awful, despite Molina-Gonzalez. That is an awful. Okay. Affluent white female liberal. Same mentality there. So, yep, repeatedly warned by the prosecutor, and she ignored them because she had her in her brown girl magic and her wise Latina.
Yeah. Featured here, a selection of Lawrence Reed's mugshots.
Yeah. The guy, I mean, and look, if I have any sympathy for Reed, okay, yes, he is criminally insane. Okay, the man is mentally insane. I don't know how he got that way. Probably through he's 50 years old, so probably a steady 30 to 35 years of substance abuse, I'd imagine. And the end result is he is in fact criminally insane. Does Reed have reduced culpability for his actions due to his mental state? No, certainly not.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Not at all. If a man is too dangerous to be left in the public, okay, then there are only two just actions to take. Okay, you either incarcerate him for life, or until something happens to clearly denote that an improvement in his mental state, or you just kill him. Just cut it. We don't need him. We don't need them. Just hang them. After 72 convictions, some of them violent, that's what should have happened. So
what we need is a deep hole in the middle of nowhere that's filled with farming implements and we occasionally dump shit into that can be used as fertilizer.
The pit.
Right?
Throw them in the pit.
The pit.
Yes.
Pick a big wide spot that we're not doing anything else with. Dig it down 30 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just throw people like this Reed guy in there.
Patrick Brown says, wait, this judge says she can't do her job because the state attorney said so. No.
Okay, in fairness, that's twisting her words a bit.
Her argument is it's not even a legal argument. Okay, it's not even a legal argument. It's like a female histrionic like argument. You know what I mean? Like,
well, what she's saying is that the state's attorney is telling her, listen, this, and okay, keep in mind the case that we're talking about here. She didn't disagree with the state's attorney that Reed should be convicted of the crime he was charged of. She said that he was too dangerous to be incarcerated in the mental facility and too crazy to be incarcerated in the penitentiary. And for that reason, they let him go. And so when she says she can't do her job because the state's attorney said so, she says, I can't, the direct quote is, I can't keep everybody in jail because the state's attorney wants me to. Meaning that just because it's the thing the state's attorney wants doesn't mean that I'm able to keep everybody in jail. Well, honey, yes, it does mean that. And yes, if this guy's too dangerous for the mental ward and too crazy for the jail, there is only one third option.
Yep.
And that is not inflicting him on law-abiding American citizens. In fact, I would take that a step further. Like we said, we've seen these problems, right? The guy that killed Irina Zaluska, Zatroya. And anyway, Irina, I'm so sorry. I apologize to your memory that I have a hard time with your last name because I have a friend with a similar last name and I get confused. Anyway,
Patrick Brown.
That killer was also a multiple offender.
Correct.
Who was released by activist, sociopath, pro-crime, anti-America. They hate you, right? Let's be very clear about why Judge Gonzalez cut Reed back loose on the world. She is making the choice to use a weaponized biological agent to kill white people.
Correct.
That was the clear, predictable outcome of his release. And Hanlon's razor does not allow us to consider predictable behavior as an unintended consequence. Malice is the obvious conclusion.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That is. I'm sure she would disagree. Okay, but I can see no other conclusion than her argument being because white people blah 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 did something in the past blah blah. Okay, therefore white people should accept the extraordinary risk of having this man walk among them. Okay, because that would be restorative justice somehow. Like that is the argument. It's pure racial communism is her argument for releasing this man onto the streets. I like what Patrick Brown says. Patrick Brown is suggesting that we make the criminally insane caretakers at Yucca Mountain. Patrick, are you suggesting that the criminally insane should be locked in underground vaults with nuclear waste? My goodness, that's. But yeah.
And yeah, I'm afraid we're not going to see these problems. We're not going to stop seeing innocent young white girls being immolated on public transit until we start prosecuting, convicting, and incarcerating judges for actively weaponizing criminals against American citizens.
And to young white people who live in urban areas, okay, and it is more young people are more attracted to the city, okay. As you grow older, as you gain any kind of wealth or status, generally people will move away from the cities, all right. But trying to get an early start on a career, sometimes the city is the place you have to live, okay, to make that happen. So I'm sure that was the case for Bethany McGee. But yeah, especially young white women, you really need to take those rose colored glasses on, okay. New York City's not like Friends, okay. It's not like Sex in the City. It's not like the
And it never was.
the idea that you had in the 90s, okay. It's not like on the TV shows. They're violent, crowded, and dangerous places, okay. And you are an absolute minority in those places, and you need to have maximum defenses on, okay. You need to never relax if you live in an urban environment. You are not safe. You need to accept the fact that you are viewed as prey by the criminally insane, okay, or the culturally pathologically damaged peoples in this country, okay, who have an entirely separate worldview than you do, okay. You're not safe, and around blacks, never relax, okay. Shouldn't even have been there. I mean, it's
yeah, certainly stay the hell away.
Jump
from
ahead 10
France.
years. I got a 15. I have a 15. My daughter, eldest daughter, turned 15 yesterday. Okay, so I can't imagine the situation 10 years from now, 25 years old, and she tells me she's gonna go going into Chicago for like an intern position or something like that. The thought of that would absolutely terrify me, and I'd want to be like her armed escort every single day. You know what I mean?
No.
Even though I wouldn't be able to. And it's just, is it worth it? Is it even worth it? And if it's not worth it, then do we really even have a society at this point? Is is America a giant PvP map? Okay, where we should every day we walk out our door, we should expect the potential of being violently murdered for no fucking reason. Is that what we become? Is that America today?
I'd like to say it's only in the cities and the tighter suburbs, the suburbs that nuzzle right up to the cities.
One of the things about Western civilization, okay, the reason we have, I don't like the use of the word, but the reason we have created a more domesticated, say, population, okay, a more docile population, population that's less ready to commit random acts of violence for no reason, okay. The reason is because for centuries, okay, honestly, for millennia, we have executed our criminals. White people have executed their criminals. Europeans executed their criminals, okay, for generations. And this has had a beneficial effect on the gene pool in that we have less zero impulse control, crazy people who commit insane acts of violence, okay? It's because we eliminated that gene seed. And then you put us in a multicultural population, okay, where we are surrounded by people who have not practiced that level of genetic hygiene at all, okay, like we have. They haven't killed off their criminals. They haven't eliminated that criminal gene seed from their society. And we're expected to treat them exactly the same as, exactly the same as we treat each other without any sort of hesitation or prejudice, right? I say bullshit. Bullshit. We are different than them because we kill our criminals.
Well, and unfortunately, the charitable nature and courtesy and what shall we say, honestly, passivity that we have cultivated by exterminating our most violent and dangerous elements from the gene pool.
We don't do it anymore, though.
We don't. But you're right. We did for a long time, and the result is that by a wide margin, Western society, Western culture is very squeamish about about placing consequences on people, right? When we were young, a switch across the ass was a perfectly reasonable consequence for bad behavior in the home, right? I mean, Sergeant Major would hand me his pocket knife and send me to the willow tree to pick a switch. And I can tell you right now, I would rather get beat with the right switch than stand and stare at the willow tree and try to pick one that's not going to get me sent back. you have to weigh the switch. You have to imagine the switch. You have to understand the switch. Is it too thin? Is it going to cut? Is it too thick? Is it going to bruise? Is it too weak? Is it going to offend the patron? It has to be the correct switch.
Like it's psychological. Yeah. Or you can go no fear and just come back with like a 2x4 and be like, go ahead. Now you're the monster, Dad. Anyway.
Remember me telling Drill Sergeant Hyde, hey, absolutely, mission first, Drill Sergeant. Anything to get the job done. Witchcraft, war crimes, and dimension lumber, baby. I'm there.
Well, also as we say in the Army, I'll take pain over paper any day.
Absolutely. Yes, push-ups over an Article 15, an AR-15.
Yep. Right.
Articles or teacups? Teacups. I got you. I got it. I'm here, baby. I'm here for it.
Well,
all right. Well, brother, apart from just saying over and over again, we need to lock up these activist judges. That's about all I've got for this morning.
No, honestly, squeamishness about executing criminals, okay, or about harsh justice, okay? Harsh justice. Well, I guess that's kind of an oxymoron too, isn't it? Justice is justice, whether it's harsh or not. That's kind of the point. It's justice isn't getting what you want; it's getting what you deserve. Okay.
Okay. You know what? I'm glad you put it that way, because part of what we were talking about on Saturday with the whitewashing the villains and giving them, the alibi excuse, right? Oh, this guy, yeah. I mean, sure, he was convicted 70. He's got 72 arrests. 17 felonies, whatever. He's a constant repeat criminal. But he's got mental illness. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't.
I do not. There is no factor. Nothing. Right? Maybe if you show me a poor little street rat kid whose mommy and daddy died in an accident and he's a fucking 6-year-old orphan and he gets caught shoplifting a loaf of bread off a street cart. Okay. I get it. Hungry kid. I'm not going to put up with hungry kids, right? But there are no circumstances where an old black man with a bottle of gasoline setting a little white girl on fire on the fucking public transit bus is somehow justified by a history of slavery in the United States. Like, I'm sorry, no. Just because your shit sack great grandpappies were such greedy, selfish, malicious sociopaths that they would sell their own flesh and blood for a pittance, does not excuse your murderous sociopathy.
For a bottle of rum and black powder. Yep. Cam, surprised you guys didn't touch. Nah, I don't have a contention. No, well, here's the thing. We weren't always like this, okay? The squeamishness is a recent phenomenon, okay, dating to basically the academic capture, the communist academic capture, okay, of this country, okay. That's when this began. And like I said, it wasn't always like this. We used to have just public hangings. All right. Yeah, it's public, it's violent, but it's over. Okay. It's quick. It's a humane way to kill someone, and it doesn't involve gore to shock the public. That's what we used to do. We used to send a message to society. Children would come, children would watch it. They would see what happens to violent criminals. They would see what happens to those who completely broke the social bond that we all have to live under. Okay. And it was, I think public execution would be, I think it should be brought back. I think we should do hangings again in public, okay? Despite the screeching of the left, okay? And Cam, we know we know that you would mete out the harshest of justice, okay? Even against Lowry's hypothetical 6-year-old little orphan boy in the ghetto, okay? I know that if a little boy comes to steal Cam's fatty cakes, he's going to come after him like Jean Valjean, okay? It will never end. He'll fall- he will go.
5, 3,
He will go.
6, so 1.
All right. Cam says it's some Saul Alinsky shit to weaponize Christianity against us. Yep.
Oh,
you can say that.
absolutely.
It's to
Make them live up to their own rules.
make them live
What is
up
that,
to
rule
their
number
own
7?
rules. Exactly. Mhm. Yep.
Yep.
It's like the meme. Okay. Well, I don't believe in Christianity, right? I think your religion is silly, but if I say things about, if I say out of context quotes from your religion, then maybe you'll do what I say, right? That type of thing. But yep, well, that's all I got, really.
Well, and
Monday
real
morning.
quick, let me go back to, so let me just say this, another factor here, and this goes back to the activist judges as well. Daniel Penny was acquitted, but the process is the punishment, right? Daniel Penny did nothing wrong. In fact, he did everything right. In this image right here, see this image right here?
Mm-hmm.
If you're an adult male, your immediate reaction when you see this should be to draw your weapon and open fire.
And if you don't have
Right.
a weapon, be creative.
Then you're not a man.
Well, okay. Regardless, let's say you're just trying to obey the onerous laws of Chicago and not carry a firearm, okay? Because you'll be arrested for doing so. Okay, I get it. Is that courage? No, but is that reality for most people? Yes. All right. Then you see a situation like that, everything. Do this mental exercise like I do when I go out in public. Okay, anything can be a weapon. I have this thing. It's almost like the game. Okay, and yes, Patrick, you lost the game. Okay, it's like the game where it'll pop into my mind at least once a day out in public, and I'm like, weapon right now. What do I do? And I'm just, you know what I mean, like. Do that mental exercise sometimes. It's a good way to train yourself. Any blunt object is a weapon. Okay.
Yes.
Anything like right now. If I'll pick this up and smash this across someone's face.
Yep.
Okay, that's my immediate weapon. So always be thinking that way. Always be thinking defensively.
I went on a bit of a rant about this a week or two ago. I think it was while Marco was here. Young guys, teenagers, early 20-somethings, you'll hear them start telling war stories, and they're not actual war stories. Tell me some war stories when you've actually been to war, son. Okay, yeah, sure, whatever. Most boys and men have some stories from when they were young kids or teenagers about a fight they got in. Oh, he snuck up on me, and I wish I did this, or I saw some injustice perpetrate. Like, guys, oh my God, this dude just walked up and lit this girl on fire on a subway. Man, if I was there, I would have whooped his ass. I would have. Yeah. Okay, and to most people who don't understand what's happening there, and to be clear, most people do not understand what's happening there. But there is something that's actually valuable and important happening there. It's not just bluster and bravado. Right. It's not just braggadocio and, male power fantasy nonsense that's happening there. All of those things are there, but they're just like any other mechanism, like, hunger, lust, etc. This is part of the natural mechanism that advances you. Right. You have those conversations. And once a young man is made to understand this correctly, those conversations become productive. Instead of saying, I'd have whooped his ass, they learn to say things like, okay, what would I have done? What does my environment look like? Would I have been prepared ahead of time? Would I have been armed ahead of time? Right? If I'm not armed ahead of time, am I carrying a bag with a strap on it that I can use as a weapon? Is there, are there hard surfaces in there? Have you ever been in a fist fight in a bathroom? That's not the one you want, my man. Unless you know exactly what you're doing, you don't want to be in a fist fight in a bathroom.
Lots of
And
hard
if you're the guy in a bathroom in a fist fight that knows what he's doing, you're about to have a ball. You're about to have a good time.
Yeah, there's a lot of hard, uncomfortable edges that break and turn into daggers.
Yeah. Well, Subway, you don't have a lot of edges that are going to break, but you got a lot of good hard surfaces. Right? Hey, I didn't bring a baseball bat to swing at you. I didn't show up to this particular fight with my own lead pipe. Handy, convenient. I've been provided several in the environment. I can't swing a pipe at you. You have become the pipe.
Yep. I think you do you think?
And I mean, look at this guy's teeth. He was meant to hit a pipe.
Yeah,
I'd be happy to help him with that. But the point is, when young men start having those conversations in the correct way, instead of just, I'd have cooked his ass. I'm a badass. No. Well, instead of having the conversation like that, hey, what could I have done? Right? Okay, I'm a 300-pound guy. Oh, if I could just bowl him over, I could smash him into something. Maybe I get lucky and catch his head on something. If I don't, I could put my hands on his face and get to work. I could start smashing.
I'd like to see that.
You can.
I'd like to see I'd like an experiment. Okay, I'd like to put Chris on a subway. Okay, and see what he can break. Okay, and turn into weapons. It'd be like those little bonus rounds in between fights in Street Fighter 2, where you smash up the car, or
like when we used to play Dumpster Smash PT with the old barracks furniture.
Yeah, right. grab strap.
Hey Mario, throw me that credenza. Scoosh. Throw the wall locker next. But yeah, if you're an old rugged guy, you catch some young boys doing that whole I'd whooped his ass thing. I'm such a bad. Catch them doing it. Man, sit down and have a conversation with them. Explain to them what productive wargaming is. Because what it is survival training. It's the intellectual academic portion of survival training.
Yeah, and another important thing to remember is, people don't know. Most people in a crisis situation, they freeze. Okay, you have it's called your parasympathetic system. Okay, the thing that governs your fight or flight syndrome. Okay, and
it's a misnomer. It's a misnomer that's constantly repeated. It's called the fight or flight system.
Yeah.
Freeze is the third option, and it's the one that most people go to automatically.
Correct. And truth be told, if you haven't been in like a lethal combat situation, you don't know if you're going to be like the hero or not. You don't know. The only way to know is to find yourself in that situation and see which way you go. There are some. We're talking behaviors and actions that are controlled not less by, say, the cerebellum, okay, and more by the not by the cerebrum, but more by the cerebellum and like your brainstem, okay. These are
the lizard brain back there, the medulla.
Yep, that's right.
You're absolutely right. Most people who haven't been faced with a legitimate crisis situation, there's no way to know. You can suspect all you want, whether you're going to be the fight, flight, or freeze guy. I know I'm a fight guy. I've seen it. I've been there. There are, and I'll caveat this before I say it, I believe there are things you can do to improve your chances of being a fight guy instead of a freeze guy. And you can exactly those things are training.
That's
right. If you've been in a ring and done some MMA, you've got a much higher degree of possibility that you're going to survive a significant self-defense situation. Yeah. If you've been to the range and spent time shooting at targets, much higher degree of possibility that you're going draw your weapon and use it, and walk away alive instead of freeze and die.
That's right. Your inner brain is going to drop that go-go juice, okay, in a time of crisis, and
Mhm.
it's you need to know, you need to at least have pre-thought, okay,
Oh,
how you're going to use it.
And training for the event. Part of training for the event is not, okay, I want to be the fight guy always. Hold up. Sometimes freeze is the right play.
Correct.
Sometimes flee is the right play. Right? And part of training is knowing that.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
So, yeah. So psychopath, homeless psychopath with a bottle of gas, fight and kill is the right play. Right? If he had a bomb vest on and you're on a moving train and there's no way to stop it or smash out a window to run away from him, fight is definitely the right play. It's the only play you've got. Right?
Yep.
Oh, you're in an open park and the bomb vest comes out. Yeah, run.
And in a situation like that, like there's no honor. Like there's no honor that that should prohibit you from doing what you need to do. Okay, like be vicious. Like, yeah, just kick him in the balls as hard as you possibly can. Gouge him in the eyes.
Yes.
Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? This is not honorable combat. Okay.
Yeah, I'm all for rules. Yeah, I'm all for Marcus Queensberry rules in a fair fight, all that stuff, honor and all that stuff. Absolutely, in the ring, as a matter of sport.
Right.
When the question is who survives this, the answer is me.
Correct.
And I mean, I'll chew your hand off. I don't give a shit.
All right. Well, I guess that's all I've got.
Nothing like a little recreational cannibalism for self-defense.
I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to do that thing from Steven Seagal's. What was the Steven Seagal movie where he went and killed Jamaica? I think it was hard. I think it's Hard to Kill. Okay.
I don't think I saw that one.
Anyway, there's a scene in the movie where someone throws a punch at Steven Seagal, and he grabs the wrist, okay, and it flips it over, right, behind his back, and then snaps the arm the wrong way, like over his shoulder. I've always wanted to. Since I was a child, that fascinated me. I always wanted to do that since I was a child.
All right, guys. Well, that's the show for this morning. Mario, we've got 6 days to squeak in 9 more hours of show. I'm sure we can figure it out.
It's because I abandoned you.
It is. You heartless son of a whore. All right, guys. Thanks for watching this morning. Y'all be safe out there. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.
Ciao.
All right, Mario, hang out just a second. I'm going to run grab some more